Welcome back to Passively Rich with Rentals. Now, today's episode is going to be short, but it is probably one of the most common questions that I get and talk to investors about all the time. Now, usually when I'm talking to somebody on the phone, they're going to ask me a million questions, which is totally fine. I've heard them all. There probably isn't something that I haven't heard, but there are common ones that pop up all the time. Now, this one is about how do you get money to invest in real estate? So, the type of real estate that I teach and want my students to invest in is done for you, easy real estate. We're talking about properties in other markets like Kansas City, Indianapolis, Memphis, etc. Markets that are more affordable. Well, at least compared to markets where I live in California or other markets on the East Coast or the West Coast. It doesn't really make sense to invest there for a million reasons, but one of them is price point. So if we can go to a market, say like Kansas City, buy a property under $200,000, average purchase price there for a good area is maybe around $180,000, and you can cash flow on that property and it goes up in value and all these amazing things. And investors want to buy those, right? This is what I help clients do. In fact, I've helped over 2,000 clients buy cash flowing rentals like this. Now, the question that I'm going to be answering today, like I just mentioned and teach you with, is how do you get money to invest in rentals? There are creative strategies. There's so many things that we can dive into. That is what this episode is all about. So, if you are here for the first time, this is the podcast for busy people to invest in real estate. And my goal here with this podcast is to educate you and then help you take action. It's no good just to continue to sit in analysis paralysis and say, I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it. And 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years go by and you still haven't done it. Now, I am so proud of myself for taking action, and I would not be where I am today if I did not buy that first property 2,000 miles away from where I live. So let's dive into the good stuff right now. Here are the options to invest in real estate. So, first of all, let's assume you have no money or very little money. Maybe you have savings. Maybe you have saved up enough to buy one property. In fact, I was just talking to a client on the phone today, and he said, Melissa, I have enough money saved up to buy one rental property. But what do I do after that? How do I continue to grow and scale? Do I just continue to save up and wait? So, yeah, that's what a lot of people do. They save up, they budget, they scrimp, they save, they take money from wherever they can. Maybe you sell a vehicle you're no longer using, or, whatever it is, you're saving up and you're buying rental properties. Now, again, you can buy rental properties that are much more affordable in other markets, possibly than where you live. I've got properties in a really cool high cash flow market like Jackson, Mississippi, where you can get into a rental property for as little as, the purchase price is about $100,000. So about $20,000 plus closing costs. So it is very, very doable to save up and do that. Option number one. Okay. Option number two is a lot of you out there have IRA accounts. You've got these retirement accounts. Maybe you have a retirement account that you had from an old employer and it's just sitting there and it's not doing anything. You can make these retirement accounts self directed. What that means is that you can take those funds and you can then control it through a self-directed IRA. You do need somebody to set this up for you. You do need to hire somebody to do it all the legal way. And essentially, they're going to take all of that money and they're going to transfer into a bank account for you. And then you can use that as some people call it a checkbook account. So then you can literally write checks for down payments on properties or buy a property all cash if you have that much in there. So that's a really cool way of doing it. There's pros and cons about it. You can even decide to pay the penalties and just pull the cash out. And you can invest in real estate that way as well. So the next one is, why not partner with someone? It's very, very easy now because we have this loan called the DSCR loan. And a DSCR loan is qualifying you on the property. So essentially, normally if you get a conventional loan, you usually have to invest with one person. There are ways that you can invest with a partner. It's a little bit trickier. Lenders usually don't like it and they're going to put you through a bunch of hoops, It can be done. And again, I've got amazing lenders that can help you. But if you do a DSCR loan, they don't care where the money is coming from. Again, they're qualifying you on the property. And FYI, all of the properties that I get access to qualify for a DSCR loan. So you can easily set up an LLC with somebody and you can pool money together and invest together. So that's a cool option. Maybe you know somebody that's been thinking about it or somebody that you know has money. Maybe they want to be a silent partner and they want you to do the work. Well, I would take that option because, again, with the systems that I have, you're not actually doing the work. So you can act like you are and you can bring in that silent partner. So that's a great option. Okay, option four. This is my absolute favorite hack. A lot of us, especially in expensive markets, are sitting on a lot of equity in our own properties. Now, before you Dave Ramsey people freak out, yes, if you are sitting on a lot of equity and you're like, hey, I want to pull that equity out of my house, meaning that, let's say, I'm just going to make up a random number. Let's say you bought your property for $500,000. Okay. And let's say in the last few years, because everything has appreciated so much, let's say your property is now worth $700,000. That means you are sitting on $200,000 worth of equity, or what I call AKA lazy money. It is sitting there, it's not doing anything. And guess what? You can tap into that money and you can use it to invest. Now, like I just said, if you're one of those crazy Dave Ramsey people, that sounds scary. It is scary if you're taking it out to buy a boat, go on vacation, maybe pay off credit card debt. See, I don't love that, but credit card debt is really high, so you probably are saving yourself some money. But there's some scary things out there. Again, if you don't get into REIT debt again, but there's some ways that make me a little bit nervous. However, if you're investing in something that makes a higher return than that equity line of credit is going to cost you, then it is a win win because that money is just sitting there. Now, here's how it works. So you can get a HELOC. That's what they're called. Well, first, let me back up. You can do a cash out refinance. Okay. So a lot of you, though, are sitting on really low interest rates. So it's really hard to justify it, although it's always the math always wins. So we can always run scenarios for you. I've got lenders that can run scenarios for you and say, hey, what's a better option for me? A cash out refinance or taking out a HELOC? Let's assume you're going to do a HELOC because that's what a lot of people are doing right now. So you can get a HELOC from anywhere. In fact, some of the best rates are from your local credit union. So if any of you have a local credit union, try that first. Again, I do have lenders that can help you do it, but my goal is to save you as much money as possible. So see if you can get one for a little bit cheaper at a local credit union. Now, what they're going to do is they're going to get an appraisal done on your property, and then they're going to say, hey, you have, again, using that example, $200,000 worth of equity. Now you are able to tap into that into what is called a line of credit. So essentially, they're going to deposit that money in, well, it's going to be in their bank account, but you can request a draw kind of a thing. Now, the cool thing about it that not a lot of people realize, in fact, I was just talking to one of my clients, Sarah, if you're listening. Hi, Sarah. She said she didn't know this, but you don't get charged interest on that HELOC money until you use it. So let's say you've got $200,000 sitting there in that HELOC account. And let's say you're looking at a property with me. And by the way, if you want to get access to my properties, join my school community. Now, this is a free community and I will have the link in the show notes. And basically, my goal is to get so many people excited about real estate investing. You're going to get a lot of free education in there and a lot of really cool tools. You're going to have information to help you know what is a good deal or not deal. And also, inside of this free community, you will have the option to join the Deal Bank. And the Deal Bank is where the deals sit. I source out really great off market properties that I would buy myself. So, and I am giving that information to you to be able to check out and buy. So, anyways, you got to be inside of everything. You got to be inside the program. But first, you got to be inside my free community. So, please join. The link is in the show notes below. So, back to the thing. Let's say you have that $200,000 in there. And let's say you happen to be scrolling through the deal bank and you see a really great property and this property's in Kansas City and it cash flows, let's say $350 a month. And let's say all in, out of pocket, total, I'm just going to make up a number. Let's say it's $40,000. Okay. So you are putting $40,000 down on this property. So what you're going to do is you're going to take out a draw from your HELOC Now, the minute you take out that 40,000 draw, now you're going to have to pay interest on that money. Now, the goal is to make sure that that property or close to it is cash flowing enough to pay for that interest and hopefully more. So, again, I'm just going to make up a random number. Let's say your interest payment on that $40,000 is, I'm going to say $300 a month. Okay. Well, that property in Kansas City is cash flowing $400 a month. So to me, that is a win win because what you are going to do every single month, you get that rent check. Now, this is the profit after all expenses have been paid. Okay. Taxes, insurance, property manager, mortgage. This is your take home profit. Now, what you are going to do is you're going to take that $400 every month and you are going to dump it back into that HELOC. Now, if you have other money that is extra money you have sitting around your home that you're not budgeting or is just sitting in a savings account, why don't you dump that into the HELOC as well? The goal here is to pay off that HELOC as quickly as possible. Now, remember, you only borrowed 40,000. So you basically have another 160,000 in that account as well. So you can buy more properties with that money. But I'm just going to do this one property at a time so that you don't feel overwhelmed. So the goal would be to pay off that HELOC as quickly as possible. And by the way, once you pay that off, it's free money again for you. It's a revolving line of credit. Okay. So let's say you rapidly paid it off, and let's say you paid it off in 2 years. Okay. That would be a very aggressive payoff system. That's amazing. I would be so proud of you if you can pay that off in 2 years. That would be an ultimate goal for sure. Now, in 2 years, now all of a sudden you have $200,000 to use again. So let's say you used up all that $200,000, and let's say you bought three properties. Okay. Again, you use that money, you buy the rentals, you pay it off, and then the money comes back again. It is like the gift that keeps on giving. This is why the HELOC is so amazing. So now, again, that latest scenario, you bought yourself three properties with that lazy equity that was just sitting there not doing anything. Now, once the HELOC loan is paid off, well, then guess what? Where does that cash flow go? It goes to you in your bank account. So now you get to take home that cash flow and say, hey, now I have, let's say it's, $1,000 a month in passive income from those three properties just because you use that lazy equity in your property. Now, the smart thing to do with that is to put that $1,000 a month to work, put that into a high yield savings account or, something that's going to grow some money so that you can continue to grow your little pot for investing and then you can continue to invest. This is how people do it. Now, you can also do this with rental properties, and a lot of people don't realize that too. So, I would not be where I am today if I did not refinance some of my properties. So, this is also a reason why it's a good idea to buy properties in good areas. We're not talking A class. We can buy that $180,000 property in Indianapolis or Kansas City or wherever. Now, those markets do have some appreciation. Now, we're not expecting West Coast appreciation, but there is some appreciation happening. So, what if you can do a cash out refinance or a HELOC on a rental property in just 3 to 4 years? Now, what if you were able to pull out $20,000, $30,000? Now we're going to put that to work and buy another property. So, this is how you can start to scale and snowball. I actually have a really cool formula for you guys. And again, it's inside the free school community and it teaches you how to do this. And it's actually a calculator, and you can kind of plug in your budget, how many properties you want to buy, all these really cool things. And then it's going to spit out to you these sort of strategies. So it's kind of a cool thing. And it's kind of fun to mess around with. It's not perfect, but it's kind of cool to build a model to just show you exactly what you can do. And then the last one that we are going to talk about is start smaller. So, again, let's say you're just saving up your money and you don't have any equity in a property to tap into, and you don't have any partners that you want to partner with, but you have a little bit of savings. Maybe you have $20,000, $30,000. You can buy investment properties, $80,000 to $120,000. Now, if you decide to do that, I do have properties like that available, and they are going to be in slower growth markets that we're not expecting a lot of appreciation. So that strategy would be counterproductive if you're trying to use a HELOC on the rentals. You're going to have to wait a little bit longer for the equity to build, a little bit longer if you're investing in markets like that. You guys, this is all the kind of stuff that we talk about inside of my community. This is what I talk about on my podcast. This is what I do every day, and I love it. As I'm growing my portfolio, my goal is to help you continue to grow yours as well, or just get started. A lot of you have not taken that leap yet. So, again, the last CTA here is go join my free community. It's on a platform called School. And again, my goal is to get lots and lots of free education out there, get you guys really excited, and then you will have the opportunity to join the Deal Bank. And the Deal Bank is where all the deals are happening, where you can get access to these off market properties and actually take action and buy with a little bit of handholding. Thank you guys again for listening. And one last request other than join the free school community, please leave me a review if you like this podcast or if you find it helpful or you want to share it with somebody. Please do that. But I am trying to grow this podcast. It takes a lot of work and effort to grow it. So your support means the world to me. So thanks again, and I'll see you on the next one.